Hey curious kids, it's time for Science Thursday with me, Dr. Martha. Before we get started doing science, you want to make sure that you are wearing the right kind of clothes. Oftentimes we can get dirty during science, so make sure you are wearing clothes that your parents say are okay to get dirty. Second, sometimes we use chemicals during science that can cause your skin to be irritated. I will always tell you if you need to wear gloves or if you need to wear goggles or if you need to wear some kind of fancy cover-up like my lab coat. So look out for warnings in my science videos just in case you need personal protective equipment. Today's experiment comes from 100 Science Experiments published by Usborne Publishing and distributed by Paper Pie Learning. Here comes science. We are going to be making gloop, otherwise known as slime. Now, this substance has some really fascinating material properties. So here's what you need for this experiment. You need 2 cups of cornstarch. You'll need a 1 cup measure. You'll need 1 liquid cup of water. You will need a big bowl to mix it in. And then I'm gonna say this stuff is not allowed in my house. So you're gonna need a plastic bag to put this in to throw this in the trash when you're done. All right, so my kid scientist, James, is here to help us with this. Kid scientists don't make dinosaur noises most of the time, but this is happening today. So what we are going to do to start this out is to measure out 2 cups of cornstarch and put them in the big bowl. So James is doing something exceptional right now. He is holding the measuring cup over the bowl. This means if we spill any of this cornstarch while we are measuring it, it just goes in the place that we meant it to go all along anyways. This is a fantastic practice to get into, whether you are measuring things for baking or for our science experiments, which baking's a science experiment too. Awesome. All right, 1 more of those. Good. Now, James is going to pour the water into this bowl and start. Yep. Now, this is a pretty messy science experiment, so I suggest that you wear a kitchen apron and that you roll up your sleeves. None of these are going to irritate your skin, but they can mess up clothing, so be careful not to get it on any clothing that you care about. Now, if you like, you can choose to add food coloring to this. I'm not going to do that because that increases the stainability of this on fabrics, so we are just going to leave this white. And James is now going to mix this with his hands until it comes together. Go for it. Gently mix it so that it stays in the bowl, but get in there with your hands and mix it all up like you're kneading bread. So James, tell us what it's like to mix this up. What does it feel like? Is it really easy to mix it with your fingers?
No.
What does it look like from the top when you're not touching it?
Very easy.
It looks very liquidy, doesn't it? And then when you touch it, what happens? When you put pressure on it, what happens?
Not at all.
It behaves more like a solid when you put pressure on it. This is what we call a non-Newtonian fluid. A non-Newtonian fluid does not have a constant viscosity. Its viscosity or its resistance to flow depends on the stress that is put on it. So when you put your hands in this and try to mix it together, you're putting stress on the fluid and it behaves like a solid.
Oh, wait, watch this. It's like quicksand.
It is. Quicksand is another non-Newtonian fluid. Can you pick some of this up out of here and roll it into a ball between your hands? So if I hold it in my hands, it acts like a liquid. But the minute I apply a force to it, it acts much more like a solid. And I can actually cause it
to change shapes. You can't make it
to form into a ball.
Well, kind of.
But then if I stop mixing it, it turns back into a liquid.
Ah!
So have some fun with this experiment. Explore this non-Newtonian fluid.
Really? Not again.
See what you can do with it. Try to keep it contained because it does make a mess and it does get everywhere. But it's your turn.
I want to keep going.